You seeing that clearly? Okay. Bereshit bara Elohim. And with the singing notes, Bereshit bara Elohim. Now, this letter here, this is the letter Aleph. The sound A. It's actually just that silence at the beginning that is marked by the Aleph. If you had the sound A, then the A itself would be marked with a line. And so this Aleph, in this case, represents part 1, section 1. So we've got section 1.1, Aleph, Aleph. But Aleph symbolically represents the silence, the void, the emptiness before all things and God himself. So a lot is made of the fact that the Bible starts with Bet, the second letter of the alphabet. Bet used to be a symbol for a house, and it's a letter that's used for words like building, binyan, or creation, create, boreh. And so the letter Bet represents creative force, the creation, the bringing things into existence. And so the Torah, the Bible, begins with Bet, creation, not with God himself. And so what this means is that Aleph, the original void, the divine, this is before story. The story only begins when creation begins. And so we start with in the beginning, but this is not really the real beginning. This is the beginning of the creation, not the beginning of the divine. Bereshit bara Elohim. Okay, the next really interesting thing here is in the beginning, Bereshit. Rosh actually means a head. So Reshit is head as in beginning, and B is in the beginning. Bara, created. Elohim, God. So God created. There's an interesting grammatical feature here that actually says a lot. Bara here is he created. It's in the singular form. Elohim is in a plural form. That im ending is how you would say there's many of something. There's two endings for plural in Hebrew. There's im and ot. So trying to think of good examples. Kaf is a spoon. Kapot are spoons. Sandal is a sandal. Sandalim is sandals. Of course, sandal is a modern Hebrew word, not an ancient Hebrew word, but still. Now, so Elohim is essentially should mean the gods, or gods. So we're saying gods, he created. It's plural here and singular here, which is weird, no? So one of the features of Hebrew in terms of plurals is that things that are countless and infinite are given a plural ending. So water is ma'im, the waters, because they are infinite. You can't break them down into their bits. And the same with Shamayim, the heavens, the sky. And so to have a plural and singular together like that implies that not that there are many gods, but that God is infinite like the ocean or the sky, but one being. So even in this phrase, in the beginning God created, that in translation it's not that interesting. In this Hebrew text we have so much wisdom already laid out for us. We're expressing in many ways the nature of God himself. God being before creation, God being infinite and countless, the ocean of consciousness, and God being one consciousness that holds together and can take creative action. So much depth in one little phrase. And the other aspect that we get from this in general in the whole of the Torah, in the whole of the original Bible, which is the first 5 books in Hebrew, there's a power of the words. There's a power of the letters and there's a power of the sounds. In Sanskrit, for yoga teachings, they talk about mantra. Mantra being the sound that elevates consciousness. And so they'll have particular sounds that you chant, particular phrases, and there'll be phrases that you say silently in your mind as a meditation. And these are mantras. And they also have yantra. Yantra is a symbol that elevates consciousness. And so in Hebrew, the letters themselves, these traditional letters of the Bible, some people call them the fire letters. You can imagine them being shapes in the fire. They each have a power and they affect our consciousness. And so simply looking at this text has the power to elevate your consciousness. If we then take the sounds, and the sounds also have this poetry about them, it has that same effect. And so this is not just in the beginning God created, this is Breshit bara Elohim. You could read it without the singing, you could say Breshit bara Elohim, but still it has that poetic expressiveness to it. And so what we're looking at here is a book that has a power well beyond its meaning. And to translate it into English or any other language and expect it to have the same power is missing the point entirely. This power simply makes you happy. It opens you to divine blessings, opens your heart, makes you happy. So you can read these stories that are not necessarily very positive superficially, but they really create this happy feeling. And so it's like a meditation in itself. When I'm very upset, it's difficult to sit and meditate and make myself feel better. It's quite easy to sit and read. So read the Torah, read the Bible, makes a big difference. Et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Et is a word that doesn't exist in most European languages. It's the object marker. So it's kind of like to. He created the heavens. He created to the heavens. Not to, but it's another word similar that says this is what he did. He did it. He created it. So He created Ha-Shamayim, the heavens, and we've already talked about Shamayim being this plural form. There's plural form that means countless. And if we took just that section, Mayim, we would be talking about water. Shamayim would mean, if we split it into two words, Sham-Mayim, we would actually have their water, the water out there, the water up there. So the heaven is seen as similar to the ocean, the water that was separated, which we get to shortly in the next section. Ve'ed ha'aretz. So we've got et again. Ve is and. Ha'aretz, ha. This letter ha, ha. Ha is one of the three most important letters, the letters that make up God's name, and each one is related to very important principles of life and consciousness, and in this case, breath. Ha. It's the breath, and therefore the chest and the heart. Aretz being the earth. So, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. And we're going to leave it at that for today. And next time we'll continue with more little secrets and see what we can find.